Coreum Concepts. Thanks for coming by today. It's with my great pleasure and honor. I have Albert and Abner and Scott with me here from the Core Council, and it's just a great pleasure to me. That's since I met these guys several months back. Um, it's just a great community, and it's really encouraged me to start this YouTube channel and help build that community and share the community, because there's some spectacular things going on with this project, with this community. And very excited to have these three gentlemen here today to tell us more about themselves, because they take a lot of blows out there trying to share the Coreum story with people and help them understand the technology and build a community. And there's a lot of resistance to new ideas in some communities and even amongst our own communities. So I think it's important we get to know everybody just a little bit better, and hopefully you'll learn to see them as the great people that I've come to learn them to be. So um, with that, I would like Albert. Story with you is how I really got started in finding information on Coreum. Like I like everybody else was getting my airdrops monthly from my Sologenic holdings, and I was interested in it. There's little bits here and there to keep me wanting to know more about it, and I couldn't find nothing out there on the internet. And it was back in November. I see a Twitter post from this guy I'd never seen or heard from before, Albert, from the Bank of England Museum, talking about Coreum going to be the backbone of the new financial infrastructure. So I was like, well, how the heck does he know that? Because I've been digging hard and long and to get any information on this project, and I can't find anything. And here's this guy comes along and he knows it all. So I just had to get to know him better. And so I just started following him on Twitter and gobbling up everything he'd post and chased him in every space that he had. And that led me to the Core Council Twitter space in December when Reza popped in, and then that, like, all my questions and concerns were answered right then and there. I was all in, and I think it was probably within a week or so I started this YouTube channel, because I knew for sure at that point we were involved in something special here. And so that included some special people I've come to know since. So Albert, if you could start by introducing yourself as much or as little as you like, love to share that with the audience.
Well, yeah, thank you for having me here, and thank you for the kind words. Well, my name is Albert. My my Twitter handle is AG Riddlers. I was very new to crypto in 2020 December, and I actually entered crypto during the bull run, and 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 entering crypto, one of the very first cryptos that caught my interest was XRP and XRPL ecosystem, and how I my journey actually progressed was through Twitter and YouTube, and trying to understand why are people so enamored with blockchain technology. And it so happens that a lot of, that was the time when there were just lockdowns left and right, different parts of the world. For some reason, I had more time to study and listen and improve my knowledge. I just did not want to get stuck in, you know, in a cookie cutter world, and it drew me to a rabbit hole. And maybe just like many of you went through the same phase as well during the lockdown. And what I could say about myself was I'm really a keen learner. For me, just to share with everybody my background, yeah, I'm already close to 40 years old, but I've always been like an ambitious person who wants to change the world and humanity. And I've always, for some reason, Chris, I've always been in this area of corporate social responsibility, investor relations, fundraising, charity work. And I've done that even as a kid, all the way all the way to my career. So I've worked in different multinationals before, like GE. I was in their corporate citizenship department. I was heading their corporate citizenship for a while. Then I moved to Singapore as a migrant worker. That's where I got a taste of the difficult situations of migrant workers in sending money to their families. And that's where I got, to know more about XRP and its solution to help with cross-border remittances. So that was the whole story of how things developed. But back in 2021, I was very much active as a community member of Zen and Zen Lounge, and I was very happy when he brought up about Sologenic. And when he brought up about Sologenic, for some reason it caught my eyes, not crypto eyes, but my crypto eyes as well. It caught up my crypto eyes, and then I created a trust line, and then I went heavy in Sologenic. And each month it was pumping from 1 XRP for every Sologenic, or even below. It was just 50 cents, and it pumped all the way up to 7 XRP every solo for every solo. But then for some reason the whole entire market dumped, and that was really the start of my painful but at the same time very rewarding journey in Coreum. Coreum became when it was first announced, it was December 2021. For some reason, they came up with a very good video, an animation video, explainer video of what Coreum will be. And while there was so much fun and people were dumping it, I actually was drawn to Coreum because of one thing in the video was that it was a third generation layer one technology built to as an upgrade to the limitations of old blockchains that includes the first generation, which are Bitcoin, as another one was Ethereum. Polkadot was brought in there a second generation or third, and then the third generation was actually Coreum. Then when I looked at the breakdown, I wasn't too knowledgeable then. Then I started to learn more about what are smart contracts, what's these TPS and transactions per second, what's interoperability and whatnot. So it caught my attention. So even though the price was down, I had no choice, Chris, because the coin was dumping 98%. 90 to 90. Like I literally saw my portfolio from $150,000 drop to $15,000. But but I kept the airdrops, and every month I was getting airdrops upon airdrops upon airdrops, and I was making very good calculated trades that was able to help me. Now, actually, after 1 year, Scott, I'm almost break even. Like I'm only down 5% or 7%. That's a good development from being down 98%. But that's my journey. Going back to what you brought up, Chris, which is the Bank of England. How I progressed was I was when Zen created that Discord, that was January of 2022 or February. He was asking everybody. He used to have just a Telegram. He asked everybody what our thoughts are about the Discord. Immediately when I jumped on, I was probably the most active on Discord. I don't know. Scott can attest to probably that, or if somebody else is more active. But I know I've been very active almost every day from January all the way to whenever. I was I was super active every day, and that became my community. And I felt that sense of community, building rapport with people like Hassan, not just Zen. Later on, Scott, and then I got to know Coin Holder and a bunch of other members in Josu. And every day, I noticed that many of them are just ordinary people, Chris. Many of them are very esoteric, spiritual. You know, some of them try to, yeah, look at numbers and numerology. But I felt that sense of home and being part of a good community. And I even mentioned to everybody that was the only Discord that I was active at. I never got confused. That's the only coin that I was holding, those two coins, and I felt home. And that trip to the Bank of England was when I won the Sologenic contest. And there was a contest that about, like, they did a raffle, and I won the ticket to the London, at least to the event. And that's when I got to know more about Coin Holder and the rest of the team, Fabio, Scott, uh, who's there, Abilash, or who's this, Saucy, Marco, and the rest of them, and even those folks from X Walkers and the Sologenic community in London and Europe. They all assembled, and it was just a fascinating time. I did that tweet because in my research, even though without validation from official sources, I could already see that, I just felt it in me, that Coreum will be the center of the financial system. So it was a call that I made, although none of us are 100% sure, right, that it will happen. I was walking to the bank, I was everywhere. They tell you,
Your
lifetime
voice is breaking, Albert.
synchronicity. You
Yeah,
cannot just explain it. You just know it yourself. And can
yeah.
everybody
We're losing
back?
Albert.
Hello? Is it clear?
You're lagging.
We're losing Albert at the important part.
You
Yeah,
look
right at
like
the
he's
peak.
Yeah. The mystery
Yeah,
continues.
am I
There we go.
back?
he's back.
Is
There
it
you
clear?
go.
What was the last statement? I
You're
Bank or
The
Bank of
Bank of England. So I said that I was seeing 369s everywhere, and I did that tweet, and I went there. There was even Abner and Chris, and there was actually a notepad there that you can say whatever you want to say. So I wrote there a note on what Corium is and what it is supposed to do, which is to usher in Web3 and to become the core infrastructure of future blockchain applications. So I said that there, and I did not know, after I made that tweet, so many people followed me. I used to only have probably 300 followers. And right after that, my Twitter account started to blow up a little bit. Not it, I mean, it hasn't reached tens of thousands, but then I got a few hundred people uh, listening to me and message. I got dozens of people messaging me, and that's the story behind it. So sorry if I took up 10 minutes of everyone's time explaining about my background, but I hope I was able to explain well. So there.
No, that's really good. I appreciate that, Albert. And that is an interesting story. So had you not won that raffle, you probably wouldn't have been at that event and in that location then. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. If I did not win that raffle, and if Scott did not encourage me to go, and if Michael or a coin holder from the Sologenic team did not encourage me to go, I wouldn't go. They were very, very instrumental. They made me feel at home. They made me feel like, Albert, you have to go. Everybody loves you. They need to see you. Everybody needs to see you there. So the energy was just so reverberating that when I landed there, I felt like this is home for me. This is where I should be. But what's funny, Chris, is that I noticed that if I talk about tweets about the technology, it's great. It does get a lot of likes. But sometimes if I talk about green means go, it's going to be the next center of the financial system. 369, if energy, frequency, vibration, it gets 100 likes, So I know that maybe I said that I need to balance both the content that's technical, but still cater to those who have more of a spiritual and a magnetic attachment to my messages. So I try to balance both. So there. That's why we have Crypto Eyes here. Crypto Eyes is all about facts, all about the technology. So just to go, just to connect to what I think you're gonna ask me about. Are you gonna ask me about Core Council, or you want me to talk about that later after we get Crypto Eyes and the rest introduce themselves?
Yeah, we'll jump into that later for sure, for sure. But it's a great story because clearly they seen something in you or your energy. You become a pillar of core council, without any without any doubt. So it's fantastic to hear that you won that by raffle, and then you had people actually encourage you and you had to go and look at where you are now. Like I couldn't imagine core council or even all these Twitter spaces, Albert. Like you speak so passionately and so eloquently and maintain such a professional tone amongst the chaos in a lot of these Twitter spaces. So that's great, and that was a great segue for Abner, as everybody knows, is Crypto Eyes, because the same thing, just a wealth of knowledge on Coreum and blockchain in general, and the gift of being able to relay that to other people in a way that's understandable, clear, and leaving little question or doubt about what you've just said. So that's really important. It's one thing to know all the technology, but to be able to relay it to people in a way that's palatable and understandable, so that again, in a lot of these spaces, it's very confrontational. So just that calm, uh, intellectual voice, it just brings such valuable content to everybody. So if you could also just please just introduce yourself for the community here to get to know you better than Crypto Eyes. And my favorite thing before you go is I wanted to say is please tell us, as part of that, is in your words, is why you're so bullish.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Chris. I'm known as Crypto Eyes on the Twitter space online. However, my real name is Abner. So my story is very messed up because I currently live in Australia, but I was not born here. I was born in Central Africa, in the Republic Democratic of Congo. However, my family had to leave the Congo due to war. And the conflict mostly there was fueled because of the minerals like gold, diamonds, uranium, especially. So because of these minerals existing in this region of the world, there's been a lot of conflict. So my family had to flee. This is back in the 1999. I was 9 years old back then. And I come from a wealthy family, even back in Africa. My father was a very big businessman. So I was pretty much raised with a silver spoon. But when the war started, I saw how quickly you can lose money, how quickly you can go from having 10, 20 properties to actually living in the middle of the jungle, collecting snails for dinner, So that was then back in the 1999. So we fled the Congo and went to Kenya as refugees. And the first day we arrived in Kenya, because My father was a very intelligent man. He got a job in the UNHCR. The first day we arrived to claim our refugee status. And from there on, the life that we were scared that we lost in the Congo, we gained that in Kenya. And he worked for the UNHCR for the entirety of our family living in Kenya. And then from there, from 2000 to 2003, we migrated to Australia. And at that time, I was 13 years old. And so I went to school here. I had to learn to speak English. I had to learn a completely different culture that was new to me because of coming from an African background. And then after that, I finished high school and I started studying. I studied computer engineering at first, but mostly on the soft hardware side of computer engineering. And at that time, my young brother, this is back in the 2019, he was also interested in tech, and he started getting into Bitcoin and blockchain technology. But I was always just like, this is garbage. I don't want to look into it, you know. But him being younger than me, he asked me for $20 because he wanted to buy 20 Bitcoins at the $1 price. And I didn't want to give him the money because I was like, oh, this is stupid, you know? So anyway, he insisted. So I gave him $20 and he bought his first 20 Bitcoin. Because he believed in it. All he did was talk about cryptocurrencies and how Bitcoin was the new game changer in the financial system, and how everybody will be begging to buy Bitcoin and utilizing Bitcoin. And I just didn't want to hear a word of it. So time went by and Bitcoin started appreciating in price. And I went to him and I'm like, hey, you remember I gave you $20? You know, I want my money back. But sadly, my young brother passed away. He went back to Africa for a holiday and sadly he drowned, taking the Bitcoins with him. So from that moment on, I wanted to really just get involved into the crypto journey. I wanted to create a journey for myself because I wanted to understand the technology, because I had great respect for my young brother and the knowledge that he had to understand that Bitcoin could go from $1 all the way to like $200, and we were still talking about it. And he would rub it in my face all the time. Like, didn't I tell you to buy Bitcoin at $1, you know? So for that moment, I was like, okay, I don't want to be naive. I need to start looking into crypto and I need to educate myself on the technology, because and that's where everything about education came to me about crypto. And I emphasize this a lot, is in order to invest in anything, you need to educate yourself, because that's the mistake I did. I was very naive. I didn't take the time to listen or learn and understand the technology. And because of that, I missed up on the opportunity to actually invest early. So I started buying crypto on and off, and then Ethereum mining happened. I jumped into mining ETH. I was just mining at home, just with computers and GPUs and all that kind of stuff. And then I started buying into XRP because I believed in XRP as an amazing ledger. And I invested in so many different coins. So all that being said, I ended up as an XRP holder. I got the news that I was going to receive my Sologenic airdrop for holding Solo. And I'm like, okay, free money, I'll accept that. But I never really wanted to look into Sologenic until I started looking at the vision that Sologenic had, which was tokenization of assets. Like, we're going to tokenize this and that. And I'm like, okay, this is something I would really love to see. And I started buying more and more Solo. But the biggest mistake I did was I was buying Solo during the bull market. So I bought at a high price as well. And then just like Albert, I watched my Solo depreciate in value. But then again, that did not bother me much because I understood and I took in knowledge about what they were trying to achieve. And that education actually made me invest more money in Sologenic. So I kept buying more and more Solo because I was not bothered with the price, but I had a long-term vision on what the company was going to do. So I kept on holding my solo. And then the same team, the Sologenic team with Bob Raz, they decided to create Coreum and airdrop those tokens for the solo community. And I was like, okay, I'll look into Coreum. And then that's when my eyes just went push, because I understood now that the same excitement my little brother had about Bitcoin and how it was going to change the financial system, I could feel the same energy about Coreum. And the reason why I feel that way is because when I look at what every single blockchain have achieved so far, they've laid a foundation of payment, they've laid a foundation of what metaverse would be like, they've laid a foundation on smart contracts. But I'm looking at Coreum, how they're planning to revolutionize all this by connecting everything together. And the words of the founder saying Coreum will be the hub of every single blockchain. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, how is this possible? Is it just word? And then I dig in deeper and deeper and I understand how they're building the technology to communicate with other blockchain. That is the fundamental part of the Coreum, having that ability to communicate with other blockchain and bring value from different chains into the Coreum ecosystem. And I look at it and I'm like, okay, that's a good point. And then I look at how they revolutionize smart contract by bringing smart tokens. And I'm like, okay, that's another great feature. And then I look at what the sole purpose was, again, to make it an enterprise grade blockchain. I'm like, okay, so they're not just catering to people who want to buy and sell little coins here and there, but they're catering to the institutions that want to utilize blockchain moving forward in the future. So I'm like, okay, that has massive potential. And the more I educate myself on this point about Coreum, I started coming into Twitter Spaces and I listened to Albert speak on Twitter Spaces. I came in contact with Scott, and then I started learning more about Co-Counsel. And one day I jumped into the space and Albert was there, Scott was there. I got a DM from Scott, guys saying that, they like my point of view. And we started talking, and here we are today as friends. And I've had the pleasure to be invited to be part of the Co-Counsel because we share the same vision and we share the same level of enthusiasm when it comes to Coreum. And we love the project. And we love it because we are well educated in the knowledge that we possess about Coreum. So it's not simply someone told us so or we heard this. No, we do this research ourselves. And whenever we're in doubt, we get sometimes the pleasure to ask Bob Rice question. He came into one of our spaces. We have Fabio and some of the team that jump into our spaces sometime and give us some information. So Coreum has been absolutely transparent as far as the information that we receive. And we, as the Co-Counsel, we feel like we're obligated to just share this knowledge with everybody who is looking to learn about an amazing blockchain. And that's how my journey started. That's where I'm at right now. And one thing I can say is I'm glad I'm here and I'm glad I'm invested in Coreum. And that being said, it does not mean I don't believe in any other project or don't invest in other project, but my sole focus when it comes to crypto investment is to find a gem that I strongly believe in that will bring everything together. So although I may hold different currency, I know everything is going to be back to be centered around Coreum. And it might be hard for some people to believe that fact, but if you understand the technology of how and the languages that Coreum was building, it was solely built for this reason. And that's where my journey with Co-Counsel started. So yeah, thank you for having me on your space. I'll pass it back to you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and that's what I love about your ability just to share that knowledge that it goes beyond the Coreum and Sologenic ecosystem, because it's one thing to know a lot about the project that you're supporting and involved in, but when you're talking to other communities and that, it without knowing what their project is and the technical limitations and the technical benefits of other chains, because like that's the trade-off always. One chain has something that does fantastic, but there's a trade-off. You can't, there's no perfect chain, and that's why I think Corium is going to be so special if it achieves the goal of the hub of all chains is to take all those chains and what they're good at and just allow them to do what they're supposed to do and just be able to communicate with everything. And my thing is, I always go back to David Swartz, and I heard him say he doesn't want to miss the next ETH. And when I more I learned about Corium before, you know, I got to meet core council and hear from Reza and the team more about it, was that's just always what I had in my head. It's like it just seemed to me like that they're building something bigger than just a chain, and that's,
Absolutely.
but there was just so little out there to eat on to feed my thirst for the knowledge. So it's great, and that's why I really appreciate you and your contributions to core council, just because your knowledge is so vast when it comes to the other projects, and that's really important in these Twitter spaces where everybody's just trying to pile on, and if they catch you off on one fact, on one little thing, even if though it's not even your expertise, it's not your project, they jump on you. So it's amazing to watch you defend all that off. And you
Actually,
too,
I find it, Chris, I find it like very inspiring that Abner or Crypto Eyes has a very good uh, patience. It's every time it's being tested, I said, "Man, you're good." And I like the fact that he's always willing to go on spaces and be able to test himself, and it enriches himself to every time a question is being asked by somebody 10 different ways, but now Abner has to respond to it in 10 different ways as well to
Yeah.
to explain it. But I enjoy it. Sometimes it does seem very dragging, but we shouldn't give up, because for me it's a lifelong learning for us to be on Twitter, not just to tell people what we know, but to listen and also learn how we could better communicate our points. So I feel that Abner is a testament of somebody who has a lot of knowledge and a lot of ability to dissect information, and your understanding of blockchain technology is exemplary, in my opinion, crypto wise. And that's why when we were doing the spaces at the very beginning, every time you joined, I always allowed you to speak, because to me, you're good at it, and you're helping to contribute to everybody who's listening in our spaces. And for me, I'm a good facilitator. There's some knowledge that I have, but I don't have as much of your energy. I'm telling you, your energy is exemplary. In some of the spaces in the past days that we were part of, I would say I would just jump in to support you, because it does get tiring, right, for you to
Exhausting.
explain. So it's exasperating. So I would jump in and just talk about the fine details or the business. I'm more of a businessman, by the way. So I would talk about what the business use case would be, rather than explaining the nitty gritty on XRPL versus different chains or transactions per second, and how we always go back to the same discussion on uh, RippleNet or ODL, or the language, and how a statement was said. It's like English. What does this mean in 10 different ways? But I
Exactly.
like the fact that we have to continue to do that and never give up on people, because we do feel that and know that what Corium is meant to do is meant to transform how business would be done over the next 10, 20, even 50 years. So this is, I believe, ushering a new age. And a lot of people, I've changed actually my strategy now, core concepts, and Abner, as we started to regroup with Mackenzie, a lot of our focus now is actually building the rapport with different communities. Just yesterday, there's a big ETH community that listened to our space, Abner, and he immediately invited me to his spaces. And he actually said, Albert, the way you explain Coreum is so well that he started to tell it to his ETH community and said, you guys have to talk to Albert. You guys have to bring in Coreum and look into this before this blows up. So there are people who are not maxis that are looking for new blockchain solutions, and that Cosmos Tendermint, the infrastructure that Coreum is built on is actually aimed to be the internet of blockchains. And I do see that as instrumental in the next years. And I think Abner being part of Core Council has brought in a lot of energy that we need. And Abner, I think I've never seen you, only once or twice that in a space you were really thrown off a couple of times, but I'd say your level of maturity is exemplary, and it's something that you're a role model to everybody who's a member of Core Council there.
Oh, thank you very much, Albert. And also, you don't get enough credit, Core Concept, for what you do, because it takes a lot of bravery to actually starting to create content. I've thought about it and I'm always backing off from it because I'm like, I don't want to get grilled. But it's very noble of you to always push this content to the people, because there's a lot of misinformation in the crypto space where people are shilling coins and tokens that are just rubbish, all these little doggy theme coins. And I try to encourage people to, when you have a new blockchain, a new layer one, it could be Coreum, it could be anything else you want to name it. If you have people speaking and offering real information, real knowledge before you can tell people that this is a very good investment, then you're doing a service to your community. And you're doing that. Albert is doing that. And one thing I would also say just about the Core Council, Albert and I are always on the speaker panel talking, but it's been a very, very good journey. And we can only achieve the things we achieve is because we have so many people in the background that make this happen. Scott is one of them. He's right there. I wouldn't be here, and I want to give credit. I wouldn't be here in the Core Council if it was not mainly for Scott. So Scott, I want to send a shout out to you live, because Scott really reached out to me, and he told me about the vision that he had with Albert and all our other member, Marco and Clayton. And he mentioned all the vision that they had for the council, and he told me that I fit in and I belong. So I felt really good inside myself that, you know what, I can come to a team that share the same vision and I can contribute the knowledge that I have. But also being part of the Core Council has helped me grow, because now a lot of the time I feel like Albert, our team have put responsibility on me to always be up to date with the information so that I can tweet and respond to any fear, uncertainty, and doubt that comes into by a lot of people who try to attack us. We get a lot of that. But unlike many people in the space, I believe in everybody's way of understanding crypto, but I like facts, and I would like to present facts to people, and that's how I like to respond, because I don't want to throw assumptions or maybe this, maybe that. No, I wanna be able to prove it on a piece of paper that there's a legislation, there is a law or whatever means is, and I want to be able to bring that to you so that you can understand that I'm not just, speaking gibberish. And the more I involved into the co-counsel, the more that weighs more on my shoulder, because I'm like, no, if I'm going to push content to our listeners, it has to be something that I can prove. It has to be something that inspires. It has to be something that is actual knowledge, so somebody can benefit from it. And it's been an amazing journey. I'm happy every day. I dream Coreum. I drive listening to Coreum. I don't know. I should make a
I
Coreum
think,
song.
and you're right. I wanted to bring up. I know Scott is a behind the scenes type of person. And always, I think we have a very good team. I call us the Guardians of the Galaxy. Our
Yes.
team, our team in Corium, and I could say that a lot of the work that's being done is very organic, and we're growing in terms of our community spirit, and that's what I've always believe in. It's the sense of belongingness that we're seeing in Corium,
Yeah.
and Core Council in particular, because when we started Core Council, which was like November or December, the whole premise is that we just wanted to have that voice to be able
Mm.
to speak up and tweet about it and share the knowledge. We feel that we're always being silenced or muted, and in some spaces, um, uh, Coinholder would always message me, Albert, go on this space, talk about Corium, bring up Corium to them. And you'll be surprised, Abner, some spaces I would just talk 5-10 minutes and I will get 20-25 new followers that on the side would direct message me and said, Albert, you got to keep going. But then I only have 5-10 minutes. The host would usually shut me off after I'm raising the energy and the vibrations there on what I was telling them about the CBDCs and the business use case on tokenization. It's like you're saying too much, Albert. You gotta shut up. But then I realized that the only way forward is to actually lead and start this movement and community.
Yeah.
And that's where we started. And you were one of the first ones, actually, Abner. You were direct messaging me about it.
Yes.
And every time I would say this whole fiasco that happened over in December, and I was really distraught. You felt it, and Scott felt it. And early January, I felt Crypto Eyes. He say, "You're Albert. You're leading this. You were really mad at me. You're leading this. You gotta be able to speak and not slow down. You cannot give up on us in the community." Then
Exactly.
it shocked me to the core. And Scott was telling me we got to get this going, and for me, it did feel I felt the team spirit there, that you guys weren't giving up, and the two of you were lifting me up to get this going. We have to get it started, and now here we are. At the start of the year, we've always been doing spaces, and we've had very good people attend our spaces. Bob has attended our space. Last year we had Reza and Fabio, and then we also had spaces with. I think we had spaces with Stably, and a few validators have lined up to wanting to actually be interviewed by Core Council, and that's something that I felt uh, very passionate about. That we're actually leading this movement, and the whole vision is to be able to have this commentary, that we can have our commentary and space to talk about the progress of the Corium blockchain. And I realized that Bob, Reza, they love the fact that we're helping them also. It is somewhat like a focus group discussion, that we can give them ideas. The recent space that you hosted, Abner, was a very good segment. I'm very sure Coinholder shared some of the ideas to their team, because we're getting ideas from not just the Coreum community, but community of, you know, crypto and blockchain enthusiasts from Ethereum and others that are giving ideas on what could be projects that are built on the Coreum blockchain. And that, I think that's the direction that we're going to be headed in. And that's where I see us growing. What I also see is that we need to leverage on each one's skill sets and abilities. And I do see, Scott, you're more of an HR person, Scott. So if I spot a good person, you do the interview after. In a basketball team, I'm actually more of a Magic Johnson. I'm not really a Michael. I think, I'm a good, for some reason, people are drawn to me. What?
I said I'm
What?
also mad.
Oh, you're a Magic Johnson. I think Abner, you're a Michael Jordan. You're
Oh,
a
man,
Michael Jordan.
I'm not that good.
You know why I bring this up is that when I started to chat with Core Concepts on the side, you know what, Core Concepts, I always wanted you to be part of our core group because you're talented in propagating the information. Even though you have a new YouTube channel, we need to start somewhere, and we need people who have the same type of, the same core belief in Coreum, pushing the information out. And when I spoke to you, I said, let's do this. Let's have a meeting. And I think we're getting somewhere. And the same thing, like Marco from our team, he's very good. He has very good eyes on graphic design and how to lay out certain NFT projects or even our podcast. That's where we believe we're going to grow. And I think, me leading this now is more of me, having this, this sense of, I know that everybody's doing their work, and that's what I want. Actually, even in my company, I've reached a point, Abner, that I'm doing only 10% because my role is just, recruit the right people and just have
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 meetings in a week and let them shine and do the work. And I'm happy while I'm the face and Abner, and the two of us get a lot of the fun out there, but we have
Oh,
people on the side doing tremendous work that I feel sometimes doesn't get a lot of recognition, but they do so much fascinating work to keep the community spirits up. So there.
Yeah, well, and that's why I had you and Abner on. Like, you just set this up perfectly for Scott. So I've only interacted with Scott as his Twitter profile, so I'm just meeting him by name and face today, and it's been a pleasure because I've seen obviously the work you do in the background, and I haven't interacted with you the same as Albert and Abner because they're just the like I said, the ones out there taking all the slings and the arrows. So, but clearly they've highlighted the importance of your role in Coreum Council or Core Council, and I could see the respect given to you by the not just the Coreum community, the Sologenic community as well, and it's impressive to me to see that you've seen something in these two gentlemen, Albert and Abner, to propel them to where they are. So I'm just learning some of this here today, like the story they both basically told me that if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be here. So I couldn't imagine what Core Council today would look without either of them, that's for sure. So that all goes
there
back
wouldn't
to
be
you.
any.
Yeah.
We're
So
There wouldn't
all
be any
in,
full cancel.
we're all instrumental in some way. I just try to do the best that I can with what I've got, and these guys are just amazing to work with. And there's so many strange things that happen behind the scenes that is just kind of unending, but I don't know. I love it, actually. It's great.
So tell us a bit about yourself, if you don't mind, Scott. How did you get to where you are and be such
I have
a visionary and gathering the right people to do what we're doing here?
I really couldn't tell you honestly. I'll just give you a brief journey through my crypto history, which is much shorter than these fellows. I started with Ethereum right after the COVID crash. And I didn't know anything about crypto. I hadn't researched any crypto whatsoever. But I just knew it was the future of money, and I knew I had to get in. So right after the crypto crash, I couldn't even figure out how to set up a wallet or buy crypto like that. That's what was holding me back. I was so bad. So I figured out finally how to get my Coinbase linked up, and that finally got accepted. So I started accumulating Ethereum at $178 a share. I was able to accumulate 112, and then I lost it all in a scam just as it was blowing up. And then I do a little research, so I thought by watching influencers, and then I figured out that wasn't the deal. And then I found XRP, and then that led me to Solo, which then led me to Coreum. And I still had questions early on until I saw the Bob Ross interview with Bearable Bull, and just reading Bob's body language, and you could see he was so upset about, you know, the way things had gone. And I just knew then that there was more to it. And that was really when I started to get into Coreum.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. You know, I actually forgot I seen that video, and also, and just you saying that now brings me back to it. Yeah, I remember. And yeah, it's been quite a journey.
And from that point, you know, I was, you know, trying to find anything I could. And Zen was posting videos like every 2 or 3 days. And I mean, I would literally just every morning, you know, wake up and check to see if there was a new video. And every time there was, it was like Christmas. And so I learned a ton from Zen, and my own research, of course. And I just knew from the beginning, like for me, it was like these airdrops and the plan and just the math for me, like, you know, all the other stuff was amazing, but I was just like, okay, if this works out even in a small amount of what it's trying to, the airdrops and what you're going to get, and then just, you know, at the price that it was, you know, it was really easy math for me. And then staking and compounding all of that money. And then that was really it. I didn't really need to know a lot more. And I've learned a ton more from these guys. And thanks again, guys, for all the kudos. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, well, you've helped build an impressive team, and one thing I wanted to get to was the core council mission. Was there one of you that'd like to speak to that?
Yeah, well, our mission really at the onset is really to build an independent community that, you know, of core enthusiasts that shares and provides commentary on the progress of the blockchain. It's as simple as that. And we wanted to talk about anything and everything about Coreum, and everything that's being released, announced about Coreum, even giving ideas to the Coreum team is part of our mission. So having that vibrant community that really believes in long-term, these are long-term investors that we're looking at, not those that are just up for quick wins on the charts. So we barely even talk about the price. That's one thing that Abner and myself, we both talk about, is we don't talk about short-term price. Privately, we may talk about that, but not really publicly, because that's not the intention of Core Council. That's why in spaces, whenever we do talk about Coreum, we always try to redirect everyone towards Coreum and what Coreum is, rather than a comparison with other blockchains. We realize that Coreum will be on its own, especially after mainnet. And I believe the mission of Coreum, like any organizations, it's going to evolve, and it's going to improve in the way it would represent the needs of the community. I do see a possibility, it may most likely happen, for us to be like a, you know, like in the Philippines, there are many cooperatives in different organizations. So we might become like a social DAO or a decentralized autonomous organization, or we can call it a cooperative. So in a way that we can make decisions possibly as a collective. Many of us are very big holders of Coreum, and we can make a very good uh, build a team that can make decisions on the progress of the blockchain. So if their proposals are being sent, then we have a voice to share and say. And I believe that this is good. I think that I would believe that Bob is happy that their communities like us even reshare some of our tweets, and that's how important it is. I believe in his eyes that what Coreum Core Council is building is actually healthy for uh, both the business community and also those who are, many of us in Core Council are actually have our own businesses, or have our own careers. I have my own fintech and e-commerce platform. Some of them are individuals who are just, who are very, are nurses, like in the medical field, like Abner. There are others that are still young in their 20s. So different ones have different paths, but there's always room for us. I think what I've learned throughout this process is to be very inclusive of different backgrounds, different spirituality, religions. We always say that, we just need to be sensitive. Not everybody is of this religion, of this spiritual denomination, but we want to build that, we can all love one another. And I believe that that's the focus of Coreum, is how do we be more accepting and loving of each other, and still come to terms in this one central blockchain that we all believe in Coreum. And I think that's where we're headed. But what else are you thinking of, Crypto Eyes? I think we have a few projects actually that we're already mulling over, and yeah, we might be able to uh, not just progress, but also we might be able to uh, develop the mission of Core Council into something that actually has more significance in scope and scale. But there you go.
Yeah, and also our main vision, I tweeted yesterday on our Core Council Twitter account. I like to emphasize that our vision really, as Albert mentioned, is we want to be a platform to educate people, especially those who are new to the Coreum ecosystem. We want to be able to provide knowledge so that they know that there is so much more that is available now, and there is so much more to come when it comes to what the Coreum ecosystem can be in the near future. And we try to think of these things, and we try to, I remember in our previous space, we were talking about just Coreum economics. What can Coreum do as a blockchain? And we were talking about just different companies that can build and utilize different benefits that exist, like the smart tokens of the Coreum ecosystem, how charities can benefit by utilizing the Coreum technology. So there is so much to go through, and we try to brainstorm the possibilities of what Coreum as a blockchain can offer. And this type of understanding and knowledge is for those people who want to see, okay, try to compare blockchains, for example, and say, okay, Ethereum has this and this, okay, and what can Coreum do? And we try to educate and see and show people that there is so much more that can be done on the blockchain. So we are all about educating. We're all about providing information. We're all about brainstorming possibilities. And also, we also want to share this, create this environment where everyone feels included. Inclusivity is very important to our community, because we don't want to push anyone away because of they believe something different from us. And we're all diverse. Albert, me, myself, and Scott Clayton, we are all diverse individuals, and we all bring different values to the table. So if anyone listening now and you're looking for a nice, safe environment, Core Council is always a place to call home. So we welcome everybody to join us.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen, like a common thread. Like I followed Zen's community, obviously. He's one of the few people that was talking about Coreum for the past year. So, you know, there's all these other communities within this community, and they all want everybody to grow and improve and thrive, and the common themes of like just improving yourself, just your health and your mind, and just the total package. And it just, for whatever reason, even though all these are little separate communities all wrapped under the same umbrella, it's just such a nice positive environment, and everybody just wants everybody to do well. And that's hard to find these days when you get that many people in such a broad interwoven community to all carry that same vibration. And to me, it's what's going to make these communities successful, because these projects, they need, it's all about the community. And it's just amazing to me to see this project, for whatever reason, has just such amazing, peaceful, loving members, that though themselves have found success, aren't content with that. They want everybody in their community to be successful, and it's just a beautiful place to be, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Actually, we're trying to set an example too, that, for me, inclusivity is also about, the more we include one another, the better it is for humanity and even the economy. If you look at it, the economy works best when it works for everyone. And that means lowering the barriers of participation. And we know that we all have our, unconscious biases. Sometimes a new person comes in and people get, have this tension with different ones. What we usually do, and Scott is very good at this, is being able to put things in perspective, so we don't come across as elite, or just very selective of anyone who comes in. So we just need to constantly promote that sense of love. I think ultimately, it sounds very cheesy, but I always want to reiterate that, like what you said, if you have a good grasp of yourself, like what you mentioned about knowing thyself, it actually would overflow. That you won't have a lot of insecurities, and you would be very infectious in your positivity and your energy, and you would draw a lot of people. I think that's what we're trying to do in Core Council, is to draw a lot of people, and for them to see that this is a safe community for us. In fact, we've allowed people to talk about other blockchains in the playground, and in a way we did not really. While we wanted to redirect them to Coreum, we allowed them, because we feel that it's a safe space. As long as they're not hurling profanities to different ones of us, then it's a different code of conduct once you become rowdy and very combative. But so far, I think we were able to build a very good, solid, mature community. And I think whenever we run our spaces, at least, I don't know, you let me know, core concepts, but in most of our spaces, at least those that we host, I think we were able to host it and facilitate it very well.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And like Abner, while I have, like, I'm just so blessed to have you guys' undivided attention and not a million people trying to get at you for questions. But Abner, I'm curious, in your discussions with people, even people that are resistant to hearing about Corium, what part of the Corium technology to you, in your mind, stands out and should be highlighted to say, like, this is why I think it's different, or this is why it could be labeled a third generation blockchain compared to the others?
So in my personal opinion, I would say the key to any blockchain to be successful in this modern world where we have multiple blockchains, okay? And we see a lot of the newer blockchain failing because of not enough validators or not having a secured network. And you have an example of that will be like the Luna blockchain. You have the Solana, which goes offline. Because this blockchain solely feel like, they want to run things on their own. Okay, they want to become an independent blockchain with specific job or specific dApps built on them solely. Coreum is built differently. Coreum is built to accommodate every other blockchain and to be able to have the IBC, we call it inter-blockchain communication. So what that enables other blockchains to do is to come and utilize functions that Coreum offers, okay, like information, the transfer of information, transfer of asset, transfer of value, and so on. So that feature alone makes Coreum to be the center, because you want a blockchain that is very inclusive, okay? So it was designed with that concept in mind. And then you have Coreum offering something that's unique, and that is tokenization of asset. Why that will change mind is because we look at the way the world is divided as far as economically. There's people in third world country or developing countries that don't have access to the Wall Street like you and I might have, because we live in the Western world. And because of that, they're missing out on wealth because they cannot invest. So when tokenization becomes available to everybody anywhere around the world, you will see people come to this knowledge of investing and creating wealth for their families as well. So Coreum again offers that. And then you have the smart tokens, which has so many features that it's programmable money. So you can create a smart contract, send value to a specific individual, plan that contract to execute at a specific time to a specific wallet. And that eliminates, again, the problem that we see with other blockchain. From personal experience, at one stage when I was buying some coins on Ethereum, I sent about $600 worth of coin to a wrong address, gone. But I never had, you cannot retrieve that. And then another time, I was trying to buy some coins and I was hit with $100 gas fee. I was not happy with that. So although you have very amazing blockchains like Ethereum, they come with shortcomings, okay? And we see Coreum being developed, eliminating all those things that turns us off when it comes to like buying and trading tokens on a blockchain. So there is so many things that can go on. I can talk Coreum all day, but for me, those aspects make Coreum to be very, very unique in the concept that they are offering tokenization, smart tokens, smart contract, okay, which is amazing. They offer a decentralized exchange, which will be built into the DEX, into the blockchain. So it's a very decentralized platform again, and the list can go on and on. So it's unique by itself, but it's also unique in a sense that it allows other blockchain to have that interoperability capabilities to exchange tokens, value, and information while being connected at the same time. So that's what I think is unique about Coreum.
Yeah, I know myself, it's the smart tokens I really have an interest in, and I've read that paper so many times, and there's just enough to satisfy, but there's just not quite enough. Like it leaves you wanting more. And
Actually, yeah,
I think it's going
same
to
with
be,
you. Sorry to cut you off. Sorry, but I wanted to chime in with you when Abner said about the smart tokens. That was the programmable money, and for me, it does allow the the ability for these enterprises to customize their decentralized applications, which is what they actually need. and many of these private institutions, including, not just banks, not just central banks, but also just businesses, they need some of the functionalities to be customized according to their liking. And I think that's the most important thing that I see with smart tokens. And also, it's very portable. That means the way it's programmed and the way that the coding language that they can use for it can actually be easily transported to different blockchains. So it's easier to actually build the Coreum using the Coreum blockchain using smart tokens. We're waiting for core concepts. He actually suddenly dropped off because of internet connection, but you want me to facilitate this, Abner? Abner, just you're on mute now, Abner.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm actually checking the flights now, Scott, and it's funny.
Good.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see you again.
Yeah,
And
me too.
one of these days we have to be able to see Abner again for the first time. I don't know, Abner. I don't know when. We should meet you.
Oh,
We
definitely. I can come. You know what? Let's meet up in Philippines, man. I haven't been to Philippines. I actually had plans to go to Philippines last year, before COVID started, because I was in Thailand, Vietnam, and then I was gonna go to Philippines. But
Oh.
when COVID started, I was in Malaysia, Chinese New Year, and I was like, okay. And then they announced COVID, and I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. I went to Thailand, and Thailand, I was there for a couple of days, and then they had 6 cases after like 3 days. And then I was meant to fly to Vietnam and then fly to Philippines. And then the immigration was just sending notification, everybody return home, we're gonna shut the border. And I'm like, I've got a Philippine trip to go to, but it didn't happen. So I had to come back and cut my trip short because I had a plan to go to Boracay, Palawan,
Oh,
Cebu. I had
you're
a trip.
good. You
Actually
chose all
booked.
you chose all the best places.
I wanted to go and diving with the big sharks in Cebu.
Yes.
I want to do that. And then I want to go to the Enchanted River and so many plans I've already done all my research, but COVID just killed everything and my passport expired. I'm like, well, what's the point of passport when I can't even we were in lockdown. So but I've applied for a new passport.
Don't worry, there will be more years, and hopefully, we'll find time to all meet up one of these days.
No, it's a fun place to visit. It's only 8 hours flight from where I am, from here to
Mhm.
the Philippines, Manila. So before I finish a bottle of whiskey on a plane, I'll be there, man. It will be good. But anyway, back to serious topic.
Yeah.
Welcome
We're just chatting on the side while we wait for core concepts to come back. But I did mention, I don't need to reiterate, but the smart tokens does allow programmability and customization of the regardless of where they built their the programming language, which is what I think will render it scalable. It will be scalable. That's what I see.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Living on the mountain is beautiful, but it's tough on internet connection sometimes. But thanks for keeping it going while I was away. One thing I was wondering is the airdrop that was changed at it kind of seemed last minute. It was changed to include the XRP and Solo community by giving XCore. And so, in one way I thought, well, it's just extending an olive branch to the community because there's some division maybe. But then I got wondering just the way they did it with the XCore being that if the price point reaches $10 within 2 years for a period of 10 days, I'm not 100% sure I've heard, if that in fact is a smart contract itself that's going to be automatically released or not. But it just got me thinking, is this Coreum's way of kind
Displaying.
of showing their cards to say like, hey, we're going to have this programmable money and that's exciting to me because that's what Ripple's been saying for a long time, that the financial industry really needs.
If
And
you look at the white paper and not the white paper, but the Medium article, and you juxtapose that through an interview that we asked Bob himself, that same question that you asked, Bob said, yes, it is a way to display the functionalities of the smart contracts because it will be activated within those 10 days. So if it does sit at $10 or for a period of 10 days from April 1 to April 10, then it will be converted to Coreum. If not, then it will stay at XCore. Then it will, within that period of, was it 2 years? That's when it will be, it will be triggered. So we don't know, of course, and he did state that he doesn't know whether the $10 will be hit. But it's a good aspect of being able to display it to the holders that this is what Coreum is all about. And you're right in the way you see it. Yeah, I think this is an excellent idea that they did early this year rather than waiting for 2 years to do the airdrops to all the Coreum holders. They fast tracked it and they did a change of their plans to announce the new plan of giving out 50 million split 25 million for the Sologenic and Coreum, Sologenic and XRP holders to XCore. Then Coreum, though, and they're actually rewarding the Coreum holders by giving 100 million to the Coreum holders without the XCore component. So that means it actually entices those who actually have a firm belief on the future of Coreum to invest more in Coreum, but it gives a teaser to the XRP holders. Hey, why not? I hold a lot of XRP. Let me just set up the trust line. I think indirectly, it's also a way to tell everybody we're one team.
Mhm.
There's no point of us actually arguing and being combative with one another because you're actually getting the free Coreum, right? So I think it serves double purpose, and time will tell whether the $10 will be activated, because if you look at it, we're still a little bit far away from $10 at this point in time. And for me, whether it does get triggered or not, I'm a long-term holder, and yeah, I'm quite happy to see though the smart contract capability to be displayed. It may not be through that option token, but it could be through another project. They just released a wave 2 of smart tokens for grants. And yeah, actually maybe we'll be able to interview the grantees if they once they get selected. So there.
Yeah, and
So, mhm.
I know the earlier you mentioned about possibly creating a DAO, and that's one thing that it's kind of near and dear to my heart. It's one of my favorite videos that I've done since I created my channel, and it's one that's been watched the least. But I caught a Twitter space with Upside Co-op. It was actually on King Solomon space, and what they've done is basically said, we got to quit trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, cooperatives have been around for 100 years. The legal system's already in place. Everybody understands them. There's no mysteries, and they've proven that there is a way to operate DAOs under the cooperative standards. So there's no reason to fear the strong arm of the SEC or anything like that, because all these laws are on the books and very clear. And so that's one of the things with Coreum that excites me, is as a community run project, is the possibilities of community run DAOs, and you get programmable tokens really can do magical things when you start talking about DAOs and stuff like that, as far as paying out dividends and stuff like that. So it's very exciting, but it's also one of the things that's kept me going. Like, there's there's information out there, but there's always want you leave it just that little bit more. I just want a little bit more. So, but I mean, hey, we got a month left and we're gonna know, right? It's the countdown's on, and I'm looking forward to see who's building on this thing as it comes out the gate. It's going to be exciting.
Me personally, I think what Coreum has done, because when I looked at, you have to understand that they did study how airdrop worked for the entirety of last year. They were dropping Coreum airdrops only to Sologenic holders. And we saw what that did to the price of Coreum and Sologenic. You had people who would buy before the snapshot and then sell after the snap. So it was a wave of ups and downs. So this year, and that was going to continue for this year, you know, Coreum snapshot were going to happen for Coreum holders, and then we're going to receive all the tokens as airdrop month to month continuously. So I think what they learned from that was, okay, this is not going to be a very good model as far as price, because people will get the airdrop and dump. So by combining into one snapshot, and then we will give it into 4 airdrops, that model kind of makes more sense, because it's improve on the volatility of the token itself, because it gives people only 4 opportunity. If you want to keep your asset or if you want to sell your assets, that's completely up to you. But it just minimized that price fluctuation that we saw previously. Also, I think they wanted to make things go faster, because they strongly believe that there's so many things that are going to take place coming 2024, 2025. According to a lot of experts around the world, they're talking about 2025 being a massive year where the bull run might happen for a longer period of time. And then when you put in global factors, like, for example, what countries are trying to do with digital ID, creating digital wallets for everybody, Coreum is going to be ready by the time all these things start taking place. So the team has this vision. They're like, no, we cannot prolong the airdrop to continue for another year. But if we shorten the time, and we definitely can hit that target, because the $10 target is really not that big deal, because I know because of the, I mentioned, because of the airdrops being dropped every month, we don't see the price appreciation to the length that it's supposed to. So if you were to compare Coreum to other blockchains and how price appreciate because of something new has emerged into the market, you'll come to understand that $10 for Coreum is actually very, very cheap, because it's a very unique technology, and it's worth way more than that, in my opinion. And we see this with coins that have come onto the platform just recently. One example I can give that it's similar as in airdrop and price appreciation is Aptos. Aptos was airdropped, okay, and we saw Aptos went completely ballistic, from $3 all the way to almost $20 plus in Australian currency. It's sitting at 20 something dollars. Okay. Now, when you compare Aptos technology and Coreum technology, it's a no-brainer that Coreum is far superior as far as what they offer in terms of technology. So price will translate sooner or later for Coreum, but I try to tell people focus on the tech.
Yes.
Because tech is the value of the blockchain, and then price will come for sure. Like, I will have no doubt that once you have this big institution understand the value of the technology that Coreum is offering, they will invest in the technology and they will utilize the technology. And that price, it will be anyone's guess.
Well, and that's what left me curious with the price point they set at $10, because I was looking at it 2 ways. Are they using this as a way to highlight the capabilities, you know, to show it as an option that that activates automatically at a price point. So then I was like, well, if they're going to do that, you'd think they would choose maybe a more modest price point, like $5 per se, just to, because chances are, in my opinion, that $5 is definitely within reach. And then I thought, well, maybe they just believe it's going to easily hit $10 though, and achieve what, but achieve that display like I'm thinking. So it's going to be interesting to see. And yeah, I'm not so much worried about it as far as like, is it going to hit $10 for it to be $10? I just like to see the technology itself be displayed for every, just for the community members. Like if, because I still hold my XRP and I still got Sologenic. So I'm going to have XCore alongside, and I'm not getting rid of them for nothing. I want to have the satisfaction of those getting triggered and converting, and so yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
Also,
it'd be nice to be in the mind of the team to know what they were thinking when they set that $10 price point.
Yeah. I
also,
wanted
how big
to
in there?
also, I also wanted to add when, and props to Crypto Eyes for dissecting it when the team was looking at the, the behavior of the holders after every time they receive the airdrops. It does fluctuate. Now I'm seeing, in relation to what I'm seeing now, is that there will definitely be those that will sell if it goes up 100, 200, 300%, because that's how they see it, because there's just too much temptation. So you cannot get rid of how the charts would show. It's just a natural human behavior. If a project hits 200, 500%, you would see it retrace back, unless it's an extraordinary movement where multiple institutions would buy at the same time. Then it will do an Aptos type of gain where it's now hovering and sitting at above, definitely way above $13. So why is because it has already reached that, that point of fluctuation has already ended, and the right investors have come in to bring the price up. So I think that will happen to Coreum sooner or later. And what excites me, actually, a few days ago, Reza did a tweeted about the wallet. Those are things that excites me, because for me, while the price is low, I know the team is building, and that there's evidence of what they are working on. And they're working on, let's say, these validators. Just a few days ago, it's just nobody was paying attention, but one institutional validator, enterprise validator, just got onboarded. So they tweet about it, but people don't look at the business component. They focus on the price. They focus on the exchange listing, or they focus on the party that will happen. but I think ultimately, the way I see it, in the same as what Abner, I'm usually I'm a long term. I'm more of a visionary, and I see I'm willing to eat just 1 meal, 2 meals a day on good days, because I think a few years from now, I think I don't want to miss out on the next Ethereum. I don't want to miss out on the next Bitcoin. Same as what happened to Abner. It's a very excruciating story for you to tell on what happened to your brother. But then you realize that why is because you were myopic before. You weren't able to see. But now you went through that painful experience, and now you don't want to miss out on
Not anymore.
this opportunity. In fact, you don't want to miss out to the point that you and I have become like figureheads of what we're doing at Core Council. So same as
Exactly.
Scott, Scott and I have so many chats last year. And there was one point we said, you know what? We're going to go all in. We're going to go all in. It's because we just saw it. And then we never cared about whether the price goes up or down. We just felt that was the right time. And I'm just saying, and I don't give any financial advice, that when I focus on my portfolio on coins, that's when I got less distracted. If I look at 20, 30 different projects, I won't be able to be to study it well. But when I focused that's when I learned a lot more about Coreum. And yeah, I think now we're at the point that it's wait and see core concepts in Abner. But we can always have these spaces whenever. Yeah, just yesterday I heard, and this is good news to everyone. Fabio told Zen that there will be several exchanges listing Coreum, and there's going to be one big exchange for Sologenic. Then, oops, like it gave me a light bulb. Oh, what could this be? Then I look at the charts. I think, you know what? I think when everybody is being told that there's going to be a big black swan type of event, we always need to also look at the opposite direction. That it doesn't mean that these projects will actually collapse together with the entire market. There's always going to be something that will fly under the radar, and
Absolutely.
we're betting on Coreum and Sologenic, and if it does work out perfectly, we're not gonna tell everybody we told you so. We told you so. No, no, no. We're gonna be sensitive and just telling people that we called it, and now it's time to build on the Coreum blockchain. So there.
Okay, and also Albert, one thing people don't put in consideration, as far as airdrops and how price fluctuation goes, we've learned so much, and this is my point. Before, until now, and until 24th of March when we go live on mainnet, we have never had any Coreum staked, okay? And we have so far, according to the Explorer on the testnet, 98 validators or people coming forward wanting to be validators. The minimum amount of Coreum for any validators is 20,000 Coreum in order to run a validator node. If all 98 come forward and just stake, that will be a 2 million, all 98 to be almost 2 million tokens removed out of circulation just to run those nodes. And then you have a lot of people who strongly believe at receiving that 40% APR that we are looking at getting for staking rewards. You will have millions of coin being removed out of circulation. So far we only have 80 million tokens in circulation, and then we're going to have about 100 million being airdropped 1st of April. And a lot of people that I know in our community, myself included, I will stake my tokens, which means a lot of the tokens that we have will be locked for a certain period of time. And what that will mean for the price will be, because there's not enough tokens in circulation anymore, the price appreciation, we can hit that $10 mark. I think that's the vision the Coreum team is having, that with a lot of coins being staked, it will mean that there'll be less tokens available, and that will mean so much for the price appreciation. So that's another aspect to look at it. So I will keep an open mind, and I strongly believe before now and the 24th of March, we will see listings, that's for sure, because I know there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes by the team, obviously, before they launch the Coreum mainnet. They would like to be in a position to say, hey, we're on this exchange, and we're moving forward, going on. Or the exchanges might take Coreum on board after mainnet. That is also possible, because then the tokens will be living on the Coreum blockchain and not as IOU on the XRP ledger. So that's another way to look at it. So I like to speak in these terms or in this manner because I want to get people to have different perspective and just dig in and think that, you know what, there is so many ways to look at this positively. And if you really in Coreum for the right reasons, you will understand that things will happen and things are happening now. And it's only a matter of time. You know, we all want to get that space capsule and go into the future and see Coreum at $1,000. We all want to see that. because it will mean a lot to a lot of people. It will mean a lot to me. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I want to see how the humanitarian aspect of utilizing smart token. Like, in
Me
fact,
too.
that's what I would pitch to any company who wants to build on Coreum, is to utilize smart token in order for people who want to donate money to people in third world country. There's no better system to utilize than smart token when it comes to charity, when it comes to funding projects overseas. Coreum really has outdone any other company when it comes to the technology that they've built. And that's what I'm invested in. I'm investing in the technology, not simply the price.
Same,
Yeah.
same. And I think we want to take like the time capsule to 1, 2, 3, 5 years from now. But what's the joy of now going through pain, and suffering? And I want, and one thing that I learned core concepts is that, when I was very new to crypto, I was like a victim of many rug pulls as well. But then every time I complain, I realized that I'm not really helping the situation. If I want Coreum or Sologenic to hit $1,000, I want to be a leader. I want to focus on what my skills are. I want to be a figure of inspiration to people. And that's why I was happily tweeting Scott every day. I was happily participating before at Zen Lounge and now at Core Council. Is why? Because you got to play your part, and you can't just be a bystander and just wait for it to hit 1,000, 2,000. If you're an OG, then be the leader to help these the Coreum team. They're a very small team in the Coreum Foundation and Sologenic Foundation, and they need the face and hands and the many helping hands, and that's the reason why we're here. And every day I would just, I'm a bastion of of Coreum's image online, and I want to always defend Coreum to make the development team very proud that there are people that are recognizing their efforts. And I think those developers probably they probably know us, they probably know who's Abner or who's Albert or who's not Scott, because Scott, you're kind of behind the scenes, but they probably know a bunch of us who are very active online to defend Coreum.
Scott knows everyone individually, so they know a lot about Scott. And
I don't even know.
And
Oh,
me
what?
and
To a
Joel,
lot of people.
we,
They
Go
don't
ahead.
talk to a lot of people, but I don't know. Somehow it happened. I can't explain it.
Okay.
me and Joel, but we're just the noisemakers. We're always talking too much, but I'm glad we do, because I think we've been able to educate people. We've been able to show people the truth about the technology. We've been able to educate people about other blockchains, and this is the key for me, because we do this voluntarily. We give this content voluntarily. We're not sponsored by Coreum. That's very important to put it out there. We're not being paid by Coreum. We've never received a dime from Coreum, but it's out of love and passion that we have for the project, that we as an individual, a collective individuals, we decided to continue to spread this message. So that's how passionate we are about Coreum, and that's how much we love Coreum, and that's how much we love our community. And I will continue to do so every day, because everyone who is on this journey with me, I want you to enjoy this journey, because I always say the best is yet to come, and the best is yet to come because the technology that we have has not been utilized to the fullest. And once we see that fulfillment of the tech, I will have a big smile on my face. I will definitely drink to that, and that's what I'm looking forward to as an investor in Coreum. So yeah.
And that's, this speaks to why this old guy started a YouTube channel, is I realized I can't rely on the big name multi-$100,000 or follower YouTubers to inform me on this stuff. And the way I came to learn that is I was XRP, listening to all the big names and everything they'd put out every single day, and I was just focused on that. And none of them were mentioning Sologenic. Not one of the big names were mentioning Sologenic. And even the DEX itself, the XRP ledger DEX, like they spent no time focusing on that technology. And I held XRP for well over a year before I even found the DEX and Sologenic. And when I did, I was just like, why are they not highlighting this? Like, it's hands down years ahead of everything, and a far superior product than everything out there. Why are they not talking about this? And that's what I learned. It's, I'm not going to speak to what motivates them to talk about whatever it is. It's their channels. It's their right to talk about whatever they want, or not talk whatever, or not speak to whatever they don't want to. But my thing was, like, this needs to be talked about. And I think it's important that the community, it's built up by the community. It's a community project. And so I think it's important for people to realize, like, you have to do your own research, and it's tough sometimes. And Coreum, in my opinion, because I've researched a lot of projects over the last 5 years, and Coreum was a really tough nut to crack as far as getting tangible information in the early days to, like, what is this? What are they going to do? And I wish I had more now. But the one thing I do know is, like, um, the big names aren't there to necessarily guide you to these projects until they're too big to get in. And that's what motivated me to start this channel. Like, I remember the space that Zen hosted, just about self-improvement, and just said, like, hey, we all have our voice, and it's for us to use. And a couple other influencers that I follow is the same message. Like, I'm nothing special. I just started a YouTube channel, and I'm just being true to myself, and the following comes with that. And I just thought, well, what the heck, if nobody else is going to have a Coreum channel, because in my mind it's like, well, why wouldn't I have a Coreum themed channel? Because it isn't about just Coreum. Coreum's going to be the hub. So in my mind, I'm going to have hundreds of projects. There's no way I'll be able to cover all of that content.
Exactly.
So, like, this is so much bigger than Coreum itself. And it saddens me to see, like, these big name YouTubers that aren't touching this at all. Actually, I was very encouraged today. Digital Perspectives, he announced he's attending Cornova, and he was pretty darn excited about it. He's pretty darn excited about Coreum, and had a lot of good things to say. So, they're here. They're starting to talk about it now, and that's fantastic, because the more people that can hear about this project in the early days, it's going to attract the right type of people to build a good community around this project. And the other thing that I thought was really cool yesterday with the Zen Lounge space was his idea at the end. Fabio kind of rushed out at the end there, but was using, like you said, for humanitarian. He's like, why not have a Save the Children validator where those rewards just go to that particular cause? So there's just so much that can be done. And I'm just so encouraged by the community that's surrounding this project. It's something special. I can just feel it. I've, right from the day one. So
I know you can feel it. Green means go.
yeah.
Green means go. But
So that's
Green
exciting. You
also,
guys, go ahead, Scott.
Oh,
But
And
I,
also,
go ahead, Ice.
also that's a very good point, because when you look at validators on all blockchains, Coreum is one of the most amazing entry point for anybody who wants to become a validator. It's impossible right now for any small charity to say, I would like to run an Ethereum node, because you cannot afford to do that, or any other blockchain. Like, so for a lot of people who are thinking long term, again, this is a very good business opportunity, as Fabio mentioned. And at few charities that I know, I was thinking about this point to encourage them to think about becoming validators. It's a very good investment in a long term because those rewards can definitely be utilized. And if you enter now, and if we hit that target price mention of $10, it becomes impossible to afford 20,000 Coreum that's required to run a validator. Okay, so this is on a business side, it's a very good opportunity. On an investment side, as an individual, it's a very good opportunity. But also institutions who want to take advantage of the technology, this is a very good opportunity. And it's very early, like we're all early in Coreum. It's still affordable. I know we just reached, in Australian dollar, we just reached $1 Australian for one Coreum. And I'm looking at that, I was buying at 22 cents Australian. So I look forward to definitely say, as an investment, Coreum has been an amazing investment for me. From 22 cents to $1, I cannot complain. And for those reasons, I know this is just like, it's not even a fraction of what I strongly believe Coreum could be. So the numbers don't lie, the technology does not lie. And if anyone is thinking of coming into Coreum, I would say first and foremost, you need to understand the technology, because that's what I'm in love with when it comes to Coreum, just the tech. But yeah,
Well,
and
and then
as more information comes out, we will know that there is so much coming for the after we receive the grantees start building and offering more options. We will see more to come.
and even the tech of the reward structure itself on the chain, it's all based on an algorithm to maintain a
Yes.
certain level staked. So the less that's staked, the higher the reward to incentivize people to bring their Coreum to stake. And then the one thing that I haven't heard many people talk about as another dynamic to Coreum and its demand is XLS 30 and the automated market maker when it comes out, because you're already going to have a bunch of people with Coreum on the XRP chain. And then if they have the AMM on there, as far as people wanting, because there's going to be people that say, hey, I want to stake to a validator. Yes. There's going to be other people that say, hey, I just want to provide liquidity into a pool in the automated market maker. So you're going to have this whole other demand that's pulling away tokens from people able to stake it on. Like the tokenomics, I think, are going to be really exciting. And I think if more people understood that, the less tokens that are staked, the higher the reward system is paying. So it's going to be very interesting times ahead.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So with the XLS 30 on the XRP ledger, that's the only option that the XRP system will have as far as staking. Again, the beauty is for the XRP community or any other community is the interoperability capability of Coreum enables you to bring token to the Coreum ecosystem as wrapped tokens. So it's not clear yet if XRP will be on Coreum, but it's very possible based on the white paper, which I have right in front of me. It talks about different, including ERC tokens being brought to, let me read it for sure. Wrapped cryptocurrency, ERC and Ethereum chain tokens being brought into the Coreum ecosystem. So a lot of these people on different chains will have the benefits of utilizing the staking rewards pools that will be created, whether it's for Coreum XRP or whether it's for XRP, Ethereum XRP. And that's the beauty of having all these amazing validators, that it will enable people to bring tokens from different chains and actually have them staked on the Coreum ecosystem. And the major one for me is not just Ethereum, is actually the Cosmos ecosystem. On the Cosmos ecosystem, you have so many tokens and different projects that exist that will also be interlinked with Coreum. because of that Cosmos SDK capability that has been built into the Coreum blockchain. So there's so many benefits. Like literally, we can talk all day
I was just gonna
about
say,
things that are coming.
I'd like to just have a whole other conversation and meeting with you just about the COSM, WASM, and the IBC
So
capabilities that
much.
we're getting. I know, but just out of fear of not understanding, I'm pretty new at this stuff. I only booked this thing for 2 hours, so I don't know at the end of two
Oh man,
hours if it's going to quit
Yeah,
recording or not, and we're coming up on that here right away. But just in case it does, I just figure maybe we'll just quickly wind this up. If each of you just want to say one
correct.
last closing thing to wind it up, I just want to say
Sure.
bless you all for coming here today. This is like a dream for me to this is my first interview on my YouTube channel. I never thought my YouTube channel would get to the point where I'd even be able to have an interview with anybody. And I'm
yeah.
so thrilled the three of you were my first interview. I can't thank you guys enough. If you each want to take a minute to wrap up, I'd love it.
Yeah, just final words. We can always have more interviews as we tackle the progress on the blockchain. There will be new grantees building on the Coreum blockchain, new projects, new enterprises. Sky's the limit for us. I think I always tweet about green means go. I do feel that the green light has been switched on, but we still need to be patient. That means even the Coreum team will focus first on different use cases, and it's a long marathon that we're in. And I do believe that us, we're pioneers in this blockchain. We're not just influencers, but we're firm investors and believers in the blockchain, and we'll continue to educate people. Just having us here in this, time, I really enjoyed chatting with Abner, chatting with you. We're chatting also on the personal level, so people can truly understand where we all came from, and see what are the challenges that we faced for us to be able to reach the Corium. And now I think in the coming months and years, expect more from Core Council, even Core Concepts. We're going to roll out even our podcast and possibly an NFT collection. And we're probably going to do even charity work, not just meetups amongst the members, because I think that's the community that we want, which is very inclusive. And I see 2023 will be our big year. Bob said it in his tweet, 2023 will be our year. And he's referring to Coreum and Sologenic. And I truly believe in his capability and his leadership. So thank you, Core Concepts. And of course, always thanks to CryptoWise and Scott, like for, our leadership team is doing quite well now. And we hope to inspire more people in the coming months and years. So there.
So yeah, definitely. I would like to wrap up just by saying, for anybody who is supporting Core Council and the Coreum ecosystem, we do this out of the want and desire to educate people, and this is one of the key fundamental of the Core Council, to provide content that bring value to anybody who wants to understand the technology behind Coreum. And it is very important to us that this ecosystem continues to grow, because we strongly believe there is so much more that we can offer as times moves forward. The technology of Coreum is amazing, and that will always be the key focus for our message, because we want to continue to push that through. But at the same time, we want to welcome people of all backgrounds to come, because we want to share this journey with anybody who find the technology or want to build into the Coreum ecosystem. So I thank you, Core Concept, for having me as one of your first guests. History has been made today. And I thank Albert and Scott for being here as well, because these are the guys that make everything possible, behind the scene, behind the inspiration that I do research every day. Is because I have a duty to my community and my fellow Core Council members. So I try to push as much facts to people so people can be educated in this. And also you yourself, you are doing an amazing job by sharing whatever we bring forward. And also by creating your own content, you are helping educate people. And, you know, to you too, we applaud you for the hard work that you're doing. So thank you very much. This is the beginning of the many interviews we're going to have. And as things progress, we will definitely talk about these things, because it is very important for people to know and listen it from us, because we're here to offer them valuable content. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Boom.
So,
Scott, you're closing this out. It's all yours.
all right, I'm going to keep it short. I just want to say thank you for having me as your first guest, and I think you're doing an amazing job. I've seen a lot of growth in a short time. It's just great to see. Thanks, Albert. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for everybody that supports us, and lots of interesting things coming. I'll just say that. Stay tuned.
Right
you.
on, guys. Thank you all so much. That's it for this. Look forward to more of this. Peace and prosperity to you all. Thank you.